Preseason football is officially done, which means the real football, the 2024 NFL season for the New York Football Giants is right around the corner. Before we get there, I just want to react a little bit to the Giants' loss to the New York Jets 10-6. The Snoopy Bowl battle at MetLife Stadium. And it was a pretty boring one. No starters played for the Giants outside of John Michael Schmitz, who actually left the game with an injury. We'll break that down. And there were some players that stood out for me, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Two guys that are fighting for a roster spot that may have done enough tonight with some injuries to two other players at that position that might be able for them to really cement themselves on this roster. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're going to be doing Giants watch parties every Sunday this year. We put out free, informative, entertaining updates every day on the New York Giants. So if you bleed big blue, subscribe, turn notifications on, and hit that thumbs up icon. Before we talk about X's and O's and real takeaways from this game, just some housekeeping stuff here. Let's do some injury recapping and updating. John Michael Schmitz left the game early on. They're calling it an ankle injury. He told reporters after the game that he is fine. His availability is not in question for Week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. But Brian Dabol did say to the media that John Michael Schmitz will have an MRI on Sunday to determine the severity of that injury. And Art Stapleton, who covers the New York Giants, been doing it for a really long time. Give him a follow. Does awesome work. So has been watching John Michael Schmitz on the sideline. I'd pump the brakes for the time being on this being a serious injury, which is good news. The Giants, they need John Michael Schmitz to be healthy. Unfortunately, he did not have a good rookie year. He was one of the worst starting centers in the National Football League. Had an injury to the shoulder that ultimately ended his year last year. That shoulder injury, I think, bothered him throughout the offseason. That is why he started on PUP. And that is why he's been missing some time. And now he has this ankle injury. I hope all is well. He's got to be available. And I'm not saying he is injury prone or going to be something that I'm worried about. But hopefully he's able to stay healthy and the play improves because it needs to be better. He's entering year 2. Hopefully he can get the funk of Bobby Johnson on him, and he can now have Carmen Brasillo be his offensive line coach and help him out. Big year coming up for John Michael Schmitz, the 25-year-old second-year player. Some other injury news to talk about is Evan Neal. First time Neal had been playing in the preseason so far. He, like John Michael Schmitz, started the training camp session on PUP. But with the Giants out, Giants offensive line starters not playing today outside of JMS, Evan Neal got the start. Played at right tackle. I thought he was okay in the run department, but I saw at least 2 sacks that he gave up, maybe a couple more pressures as well, and he left the game due to an ankle injury. As I look on Twitter right now, trying to figure out the severity of that, I'm not sure it's too intense. He told reporters he didn't suffer an ankle injury tonight. I got rolled up on, I'll be fine. So maybe just precautionary stuff there for the New York Giants. Evan Neal, maybe going to be able to stay healthy this year. We'll find out. But he is going to be that first backup tackle for the Giants, and I'm expecting this to be your starting offensive line come Week 1 against the Vikings. Andrew Thomas, Jon Runyan, John Michael Schmitz, Greg Van Roten, and Jermaine Illuminor with Azudu, Schlottman, Stinney, and Evan Neal. I think those are the 4 offensive linemen the Giants are going to keep on top of Thomas, Runyan, Schmitz, Van Roten, and Illuminor, making it 9 offensive linemen that they keep. Nelson struggled mightily throughout camp and in the preseason, as well as Miles. Miles let up a couple of sacks as well. Azudu, in my opinion, is not a tackle in this league. Giants continue to try to work him there. But, man, we're going to have to see major improvements from this offensive line than last year. We know who they were last year, and we know that nothing matters until you fix the offensive line. I'm excited to see Andrew Thomas, Jon Runyan, John Michael Schmitz, Greg Van Roten, and Jermaine Illuminor hold it down in Week 1 against a good Minnesota Vikings pass rush as well. What's your confidence level in the Giants' offensive line? Scale it for me 1 to 10. 1 being you're not confident, 10 you are extremely confident in this offensive line. I'm at about a 5 or a 6, higher than I've been in the past couple of years, but they still got to go out and show me that they can be consistent because nothing matters until they are. Give me your confidence level. We'll talk some major winners coming out of the preseason game today, maybe 2 defensive players that are going to find themselves on the roster because of this performance and injuries to other players. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time. Download the Game Time app, use the promo code ChatSports, and the best ticketing app in the game will hook you up with $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Game Time, you get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. They actually have last-minute tickets and flash deals. The price for tickets usually drops as the events get closer. You get the lowest price guaranteed. And I love the features in the app where A, you get to view the seat you want to purchase in app, and B, the all-in pricing. That way you see when you see 5 tickets are worth X amount of dollars, you pay X amount of dollars. You don't end up getting smacked upside the head by a whole bunch of hidden fees at the end when you do check out. Game Time does not do that. They take care of their customers. They give them the best price guaranteed. And when you download the app and create an account and use that promo code ChatSports, ChatSports, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. So be a real one. Support the show. Support the sponsor. Download the app, create an account, use the promo code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Another injury I'm seeing come across my timeline, Isaiah McKenzie just hobbled into the x-ray room outside the Giants locker room. Brian Dunleavy saying this is bad. During the third quarter, I was wondering why he was still returning punts. Seemed to have a job locked up after Gunnar Olszewski's injury. So Isaiah McKenzie going to the x-ray room. Hopefully he's all right. He's really the only person on this team that can return punts with Olszewski hurt. Benton Whitley, man. He was the guy that we talked about in the pregame show today as someone that, if he plays well, is going to be able to potentially fight for a roster spot and get him on there. Joe Shane said a couple of days ago he's got 51 of the 53 players down on this roster. Can Benton Whitley maybe be one of those guys that end up finding a way? He played really good. You just saw the stats on screen, 4 tackles. He had a sack and a half, a couple of QB hits. I thought he made plays all preseason long. He looked explosive. He looked athletic. He was putting pressure on the quarterback. And when you talk about the outside linebacker and pass rusher department for the Giants, really outside of Burns, Thibodeau, Ojulari, that job's open. Maybe Boogie Basham will be that guy. Tom and Fox, I thought, played really good as well today. I thought Benton Whitley, though, outside of another guy on defense, was really the biggest winner. And they're just going to need depth behind Thibodeau and behind Burns and Ojulari. Ojulari has dealt with some injury issues in the past. Maybe needs some insurance there. I've heard some chatter that maybe the Giants could look to trade Azeez Ojulari. I'm not sure how true that is, but something to keep your eyes on moving forward. Maybe, potentially, Benton Whitley did enough tonight to earn that roster spot. Another player that I thought balled the hell out tonight, and if I had to give a game ball to, it would be KJ Cloyd. We talked about him. I don't remember if it was this week or last week when he joined the New York Giants, the inside linebacker out of Miami, and he played his tail off tonight. He was all over the football field, making plays near or at the line of scrimmage, getting downhill, being aggressive, playing like his hair was on fire. The dude had 14 tackles and 2 tackles for loss. We're actually being told he now has 16 tackles on the night. Hell of a performance. Hats off for KJ Cloyd. Show some love to KJ. Give me some KJs in the chat. He played great, man. He really did. And with the way the linebacker depth chart, we talk about the inside one, is shaken out, there's a lot of injuries. Micah McFadden, he left the preseason week number 2 with an injury. Carter Coughlin's been dealing with an injury. Matthew Adams is dealing with an injury. Deontay Johnson is dealing with an injury. I think Cloyd's better than Beavers. So, is he going to earn the roster spot over Musau? I think there's a good chance that the performance that Cloyd put on today, coupled with the fact that a lot of linebackers that are expected or were expected to make this team are dealing with injuries, Cloyd may have sneaked his way on to the New York Giants depth chart, man. And you got to give him credit, man. You do. 16 tackles. If you watch the game, which I feel bad for you if you watch the game because it was one of the worst football games I had ever seen, he played his tail off. The compete level was awesome. And the instincts and the athleticism and the strength. It felt like he could compete in the NFL. I know it's preseason. Don't want to take too much away. He was mainly going up against backups against the Jets. But I like the way he got after it today. And you know what? I'll take a linebacker on my team that's not afraid to get downhill and make plays and are at the line of scrimmage. Hats off to KJ Cloyd. Who was the biggest standout from Giants preseason, in your opinion? I thought the way Dante Miller ran the football today was awesome, especially in the first half. Giants were able to kind of run the ball at will, and they ended up getting stuffed near or at the goal line. But I loved the way Miller ran. I thought Kelly had a couple of nice, impressive runs as well. Miles Boykin, he looked like he was someone that can contribute in special teams, had a couple of nice catches, almost brought down that one-arm grab. Cloyd was good. Whitley was good. Jordan Riley made some plays in that fourth quarter. I don't know if he's going to make this team, but I've always been a fan of Riley. And then we saw Tom and Fox get after it as well. I think he was a UDFA out of the 2022 class. 2 tackles for loss and a sack for Tom and Fox. Smitty, anybody else you're seeing on the stat sheet that I'm not giving love to on today's stream? I do think we're pretty good here. Look. It's Jon Jiles did have that nice hurdle. Ira Asante fumbled the opening kickoff. That sucked. Casey Rogers had a nice couple of plays. But yeah, man, it's about the top 53 now, top 48, game day active 48. Time to go get a win. And I'm declaring week 1 a must win for the New York Giants. If this team wants to have a chance to do anything special, they got to beat the Vikings. And they probably got to start 2-0. Beat the Vikings, beat the Commanders, then let's go roll the dice and let's see where we stack up against the rest of these teams. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. I'm also on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. I'm tweeting. I'm posting. I'm getting daily updates. So hit me up over there. Let's get ready for the real stuff. The real games. The ones that matter.